Okay, so today we are diving into the world of masked autoencoders.
MAEs for short.
MAEs, right?
Yeah.
And we're not talking, like fancy dress parties or anything like that.
No.
This is about how computers see.
That's right.
We're cracking open this paper.
Masked autoencoders are scalable vision learners.
Yeah, that's the one.
Really interesting stuff.
It's way more interesting than it sounds, I'll tell you that.
It really is. Yeah, the implications are huge.
So imagine this, right? You've got a picture.
Okay.
And you just start, like, I don't know, scribbling all over it.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
huge chunks are just gone.
Right.
Could you still tell what it was?
I mean, probably not with any real accuracy.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Sounds kind of impossible, right?
Right.
But computers are starting to do this, and it's teaching them to see in a way that, we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, it's this whole idea of self-supervised learning.
Okay.
So instead of us having to label all these images,
right.
like this is a cat, this is a dog,
Yeah.
the computer's figuring it out on its own.
Hold on, back up a sec. Self-supervised learning, I feel like I've heard that before.
You have with language AI.
Right.
Same idea, but with pictures.
So like all the AI poetry and, those chat bots everyone's going crazy for.
Exactly.
Is that because, like, it's basically teaching itself from just reading everything on the internet?
Basically, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so instead of a sentence, though, we've got an image.
Right.
But how do you even mask a picture?
So think of it like you're chopping up the image into these little squares.
Okay, like a mosaic that,
Exactly, like a mosaic, and then you just hide a bunch of them.
like how many, like 10%, 20%?
More like 75%, even more sometimes.
75, you're kidding.
Yeah, most of it's gone.
How's it supposed to figure that out?
That's the amazing part.
Okay.
You'd think it would be too hard, but the results are incredible.
Really?
These MAEs are learning the whole structure of the image, the relationships between,
I think
everything.
that's just guessing.
No, they're actually learning.
Wow. Okay, so you're saying just forcing the AI to fill in these gaps.
Yeah.
It's learning more than if we just showed it a million pictures of a cat and said cat, cat, cat.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And this paper found that MAEs are actually outperforming a lot of the older methods.
Really?
Yeah, especially as these models are getting bigger.
So the bigger they get.
The better they get.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a whole new ballgame.
So it's like instead of just memorizing,
Yeah,
it's actually understanding.
exactly.
That's wild. Okay, but this paper, they talk a lot about this thing called ImageNet.
Right.
What is that exactly?
So ImageNet is like the gold standard for image recognition.
Okay.
Think of it like a massive library of millions of images, all labeled cats, dogs, you name it. It's what researchers use to train and test these models.
So when they set these MAEs loose on ImageNet, what happened?
Oh, it was impressive. They knocked it out of the park, like I said, impressive.
Okay.
There's this one model, VIT, huge.
VIT, huge.
It's huge.
Okay.
And it got a near perfect score on ImageNet.
Near perfect. Are you serious?
Yeah.
From like just these masked pictures? No cheating, no like extra help.
Nope, no cheating. That's why this is such a big deal.
Wow.
It means that all those images out there, the ones that aren't labeled,
Right.
that's a gold mine.
It's like, what do they say? Data is the new oil or something.
Something like that.
But we're always like trying to label it all, right?
Exactly. And it's a huge bottleneck.
But if these MAEs can just learn from all that raw data.
A game changer. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just about, recognizing cats and dogs anymore.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's like, it's learning to see the world the way we do.
In a way, yeah. It's understanding the patterns, the relationship.
Right. Like it's not just seeing a bunch of pixels.
I say.
It's understanding that those pixels make up a thing.
Yeah, and that thing has properties and relationships to other things.
So MAEs are like giving AI the building blocks.
Exactly, the foundation.
And then we can, kind of point it at different things and say, okay, now learn about this.
Exactly. You can take that pre-trained MAE and fine-tune it, say, on medical images.
Okay.
And suddenly, it's not just recognizing heart.
It's like actually understanding what it's seeing.
It could potentially spot things that humans might miss.
That's kind of scary, but also amazing.
It is, yeah. It's powerful stuff.
Okay, so this research paper, they did like a deep dive, right?
They did. They really explored different aspects of MAEs.
Like different ways to mask the image.
Exactly. They tried everything.
Everything.
Random masking, where the missing patches are just scattered,
Okay.
hiding big blocks of the image.
Wow.
Even masking in, like a grid pattern.
A grid. Interesting.
But you know what they found worked best?
What's that?
The random masking.
Really? Why is that?
Seems like the randomness forces the AI to work harder.
Makes sense. Keep it on its toes.
Exactly. It can't rely on any shortcuts.
It has to really figure it out.
It has to learn the underlying structure.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And it gets even more interesting when you look at the decoder.
The decoder, that's the part that puts the image back together, right?
Exactly. And they found that a smaller decoder often worked better.
Smaller. Wait, that doesn't seem right.
I know. It's counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, usually we think bigger is better, right?
You would think, but in this case, a smaller, simpler decoder was often just as effective.
Really?
Sometimes even better.
So what's the deal with that?
It's like, it speaks to how elegant this whole approach is, you know? It's not about just throwing more computing power at the problem.
Right.
It's about, like, designing a system that can learn efficiently.
So it's smarter, not just bigger.
Exactly. And that's a big deal with AI, because things can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Resource intensive, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wow, elegance and efficiency. Who knew those were things we'd be talking about with computers?
Right.
But, I mean, this is all very, like, bleeding edge stuff.
It is.
I'm sure even the paper's like, yeah, we don't know everything yet.
Oh, absolutely. They're very upfront about that.
Right.
They focused on ImageNet, which is great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, a starting point.
Right.
The real test is going to be, like, medical images, satellite data, all that.
Right, because those are way more complex than, like, is this a cat or a dog?
Exactly. Each one has its own quirks and challenges.
So it's like, you've got this chef, right, who's mastered Italian food.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
And then you're like, okay, now make me some molecular gastronomy.
Right, totally different.
But that base knowledge is still there.
Exactly.
Okay, so where does this all go? I mean, if AI can rebuild images this well,
Yeah.
could it just start making its own?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
If it can fill in the gaps, could it create the whole thing from scratch?
Wow.
It's like, imagine feeding it every landscape photo ever, and it starts spitting out these crazy, beautiful vistas we've never seen.
Okay, now we're getting into, like, Black Mirror territory?
A little bit, yeah.
But this is real. This is happening.
Okay.
AI is getting that good that fast.
And that's what's so exciting, but also, you know, a little bit daunting.
Right, because it's not just like, oh, AI can write a poem. That's cute.
Yeah, this is different.
This is, like, fundamental to how we understand the world.
It really is. It's like giving AI this whole new way of seeing.
And we're just starting to figure out what that even means.
Exactly. And that's, I think, the biggest takeaway from all this, this research. It's huge. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's also a huge responsibility.
Right, like any powerful tool.
Exactly. We need to make sure we're using it for good.
To make the world a better place, all that jazz.
All of that jazz, yeah. But seriously, it's important.
It is. So to wrap things up, we learned about MAEs.
These things are changing the game in computer vision.
It's teaching AI to learn from, well, everything it sees.
Every image, labeled or not.
Which is insane when you really think about it.
It really is. It's like we've given it this puzzle-solving superpower.
And as it solves those puzzles, it learns more about the world than we ever could.
And who knows what amazing things we'll discover along the way.
That's the beauty of it. It's a journey.
A journey with a whole lot of potential.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, keep those minds curious.
And those questions coming.
Absolutely. See you next time.